The last type of wave type that we'll look at in isolation is the jitter wave type. This has exactly the same settings as if I go to any other wave type, but you'll notice that I get a more distinct kind of obvious pattern in some of the other waves. And when I go to jitter, which I will go to in a moment, I get a much more kind of random and organic looking shape, which is, really quite beautiful. Now, this currently has wave offset in it, which was left on from my last video. If I take this to 0 and we look at the cross section, which I'll do by looking at the top view, this is going to be more uniform, almost more uniformly deformed. Jitter is a random algorithm. So if I change the jitter randomizer, you'll see my object change. And it's not that it's more intense or less intense, it's just different. And so, you'll just want to come move this slider around and get some different settings to however you end up liking your shape. But if you start to play with the amplitude, you can really get some wildly distorted objects. And the wave repetition would also dramatically affect this. So right now I'm at 21. Let's say that I put this to 100. It's going to have a much more obvious number of different waves in it and effects. But you can also see that this wave type is really irregular and really organic. And with the wave offset to 0, we're still getting some interesting little breaks, which I am not truly understanding why we are getting them. I might take the wave repetitions down, and I think that is going to make it a lot less cray-cray and more printable, but also fascinating and beautiful. And I rather love the randomized effect, and I use it in a lot of different ways. So one of the things that I like to do with it is I like to add some wave spacing, and I like to just have it look like little drips are sticking out. This is probably going to be way too big of an amplitude. Let me take this down to something more conservative. And what it almost looks to me like when it prints is that I get these little splats that come out of my surface. And if I do a wave offset, then they're not stacked on each other and they don't look so uniform. And so often I will just use that offset to twist them around, and I'll just use them every so many layers so that they come off as little splats. And in some of my work, I even, choose a different color for those splats. So I use a lot of gold. So I will show you that. But in general, jitter is just a really different animal than the other kinds of wave types. And I think what I'm going to do for one last little demo here in combining, which is a whole other level of play in this software, is I'm going to take the wave spacing and the effect starts and ends. Okay, those are at 0. I'm just going to make my whole shape have this randomization effect. Now it still has the offset, so it's still twisting, but I may even take that back to 0 just to show you one other thing that you can do with wave offset that will be a little bit more obvious than if you were to combine it with some other wave types. So if I come back over to object setting and I give my object a twist, so that I'm not just twisting the pattern, I'm twisting the whole object. And I'll give that 175-degree twist, and that is just a different kind of effect, and you can do a twist on a twist. So if I were to come back to my jitter, and I might do a lot less repetitions. so that all that I'm really doing with the jitter is distorting my object. I'm not really adding such an obvious texture to it. Then these twists become super interesting. And you can even do a twist on a twist by doing your wave offset twist as well. And you can just play with these different ways of distorting the clay print and the jitter effect.